Welcome to Before You Say I Do. My name is Chris Carter, and if you're watching, this is Citi TV, and if you're listening, it's 97.3 Citi FM. So this is where we actually discuss the intricacies of relationships before it gets to the aisle. So, previously we had a discussion on conflict resolution, and today we're going to be continuing that discussion. We saw one part of it, and like I said, today is just the part two of it. But before I introduce my guest, I'd like to remind you that we have very, very insightful discussions and also revelations that will help you on this journey of I do. I'm getting to learn a lot, and I'm surprised of the things I've learned on this show. Anyway, so sit back, relax, and we will be back after the break. Welcome back. Is Before You Say I Do, and I have my guest here with me. It's no other person than Dr. Emmanuel Hobson, counseling psychologist, conflict and ADR expert, and he's also the CEO of Center for Peace and Reconciliation. He's also a lecturer, ADR Master's Program at the University of Ghana Law School. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So we were talking about interpersonal conflicts on the last episode, and this episode we're going to be discussing about interpersonal conflicts.
Yes.
What are interpersonal conflicts in relationships?
Interpersonal conflict in relationship has to do with the misunderstanding, the differences, the challenges. In conflict, we say conflict is when people who are to be together have misunderstanding, and not only having the misunderstanding, but get angry. And not only get angry, but do things that can cause havoc to the relationship. Then they are in conflict. We have different kind of conflict, and we have intra-organizational, inter-organizational, intra-societal, intra-spousal, inter-community, a whole lot of conflict that we go through. We just dealt with the intrapersonal, and we are now dealing with the interpersonal. So interpersonal relationship has to do with things that contradict or go contrary to expectation of people in relationship. Their values, their understanding, and things that they want to do differently, that because of the other and because of the disposition, because of the background, because of the person's processing of the situation, is not able to have the other person's response the way he wanted it. The other also did not have the response from this other. And so they both cannot have understanding to a common ground that work best for the two of them. I just want to break it down so that it can be well understood. That is interpersonal conflict.
Right. So how do external pressures such as family, friends, professional commitments actually affect relationships?
It affects it in various ways, because like we looked at in our previous conversation, in the intrapersonal conflict, where the person is coming from, make the person behave in a certain way externally.
Right.
It makes the person talk in a certain way externally. Make the person dress in a certain way externally. Make the person have certain views about other persons in a certain way, which if the background were not to contribute to it, the person would have behaved differently. So it contributes. And then also the environmental contributing factors, which also have to do not necessarily geographical location alone, because geographical location also contributes a lot. There is no way you can expect a man who have stayed abroad throughout his life coming to marry someone from another geographical location which is not very advanced or developed like where he is coming from. You have to deal with certain things which are also contributing as the conflict. Then even the school we attend, the knowledge we gained, the people we look up to as role model, friends we keep, how they also contribute to us in one way or the other, can also make us take certain disposition in relationship and even in marriage.
Right.
So friends we keep. And also we need to know the kind of friend, because you are likely to become what you stay with, what you speak with, and what you deal with, and who you work with. You are likely to become like that person. So the kind of friends you keep will certainly contribute to the relationship.
Right. So can you provide examples of common extrinsic conflicts that couples face?
Extrinsic conflict may include parenting, communication, even having to think about profession, career. If we even look at the essentials of career, we have about 5 essentials of career. What I am passionate about, that I want to do. But what I'm passionate about, is that okay to just be passionate about it? No, it must put money in my pocket. And when you put money in my pocket, then that's wonderful. What about if you put money in my pocket, but there is no advancement, there is no progress that I'm making? So what I'm doing in life must also give me room to progress in life. Then what about if I am passionate, it gives money, and I am progressing in life, but it doesn't add any dignity to who I am? Then I have to look at what I do to also add some dignity to my person.
But how does that affect the next person?
Yes. Finally, I have to also have the ability to impact other people. Taking these 5 essentials into consideration defines the person's calling, the person's mission, and the person's career or profession. So we have the person's mission calling, the person's vocation, and the person's profession. Mission and calling, you respond to your values,
to your inner self,
and even to God. And to your vocation, you respond to yourself. But to profession and career, you respond to somebody else. Taking all this into consideration forms how these things will influence the relationship, which if you don't take it into consideration, you marry someone who doesn't want somebody to work. You are passionate about this particular kind of career, and the person doesn't respect what you do. And you don't even know what the person's profession is. You'll be surprised that some people are getting to marry, and all they know about the person is he has money.
He works.
What does he do?
He goes out to work, that's all.
What does he do to get the money? What is my husband's profession? What is my wife's profession? In 2 years to come in this marriage, where do you expect us to be? What will be your program for our self-development to advance? What are we going to do economically? Those are things that also are conflicts that create interpersonal difficulties for the couples if they don't know and deal with it.
But is it possible to be with someone and not know what he's doing?
You'll be surprised that people are not more even interested in what the person do, but they are much more interested in whether the person have money or not. And then talking about now, the person mission calling, because that is what makes the person fulfilled in life. So if I will be in a marriage and I don't feel fulfilled, then one part of me is compromised. Yes, we can make compromises, but to what extent do I make those compromises? I've seen in many cases where the people get into marriage and it is like, no, I don't want you to work. And at the end of the day, I don't want you to work now become an insult to the person, that you don't do anything, you are lazy, you are this, you are that. And then you are looking at a woman who is also a corporate person, is married to a man who is also a corporate person. And we both don't understand and appreciate what we are both doing. We all come back from work tired. We all wake up maybe to prepare for work.
And then go.
And then go.
And then come.
So we need to understand some of these things and to share the responsibility without one just expecting that this is your role. Whether career, profession, mission, assignment, influence, and need something adjustment or not, I am not concerned. I am a traditional patriarchal
Man.
or I am traditional woman.
Yeah.
And this is how I feel the man should do. This is what I feel the woman should do. No, some of these things can create a lot of interpersonal conflict. And can you think about communication?
Yeah. So what are some of those communication techniques
Okay,
that
when
we
we
can
talk
use?
about communication, in the relationship, communication is not about just transferring or having conversation. It is about transmitting of understanding. If we look at it from that perspective, then not only verbal expression matters, it is also our demeanor. It is about also how we communicate emotionally to one another. In other words, when you are communicating within marriage or relationship space, it is not about what you are saying or what you are doing. It is about the understanding
How the
your
person understands it, yeah.
is taking from what you are doing. So what works best is feedback.
Right.
Check from the other if what you have said is the same way the person also understood what you have said.
Do you understand?
Do you understand?
Are we on the
what I'm
same
saying?
page?
Are you on the same
Or
page?
how can we make it
How
work?
can we make it work? What compromises can we make? And with that, it has to do with a level of trust and vulnerability. That is why I always advise people, the first question I ask couple is, are you husband and wife? Or do you expect to be husband and wife? Or are you friends?
All right, so let's keep that question. And when we come back from this break, we'll be answering those questions. Welcome to Before You Say I Do, and then we've been having a conversation on conflict resolution, and today is all about interpersonal conflict. Are you husband and wife, or are you
friends?
Are you friends?
Are you going to be husband and wife?
Are you going to be husband
or
and wife?
Are you going to be friends?
Or are you going to be friends? So now explain.
It's very important to appreciate our state of vulnerability in relationship. If you are just husband and wife, or you expect you are coming from the traditional perspective, the other is also coming from a traditional perspective.
So it's like a title?
Yes, it's more like an institutionalized kind of role to play. So it is not very fluid and smooth. But in relationship that will work best, you must be friends. So you look at a friend in the person also looked at a friend in you. So then you can be vulnerable without being afraid. You can be vulnerable without being taken for granted. You can be vulnerable without it being used against you. That is why you get into certain relationship, and in the home, the man is afraid. So the whole relationship is more like walking on eggshells. Because the man is coming from an angle where a man must be the masculine, strong, powerful, authoritative, demanding, and the boss
like
of the house.
Yeah.
Then, so he can't play with the wife. They can't tease each other. You don't see a husband and wife running after each other, teasing each other, laughing, rolling on the ground and floor, sitting on the couch, and then one's head is on another, one leg is on another, playing with each other, watching movie, having discussions. But then it is more like, yes, thank you very much. I'm going out. I'll come tomorrow. Next time, book my flight. I'm coming tomorrow, and all this. Then the lady also goes like, the children, I'm coming them to school.
Yeah.
How about their next academic programs?
Yeah.
Have you put the list on the table? okay, I'm taking care of it. I've signed a check. You can cash it when I'm out. This kind of relationship, is it marriage?
No.
No. Marriage means you are interlocked into each other. I may have weaknesses, but that is why your strength will make up for my weakness.
So your strength complements the weakness of the
each
other.
So we can only get to this extent of vulnerability to be able to experience and enjoy this.
Right.
But when that is not there, then it becomes very rigid, self-defensive. Then it makes the marriage go stale because emotions are not in
Involved,
the relationship.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the human being, as you take it, is 85% plus emotion, will, and mind. So when you take the mind, will, and emotion, put it together, that is the person intrapersonally. So that is the person that will be expressing themselves interpersonally. So if that is killed within, the interpersonal expressions becomes very difficult. And when the interpersonal also becomes very challenging, it sends a signal to the intrapersonal person. And it is cyclical.
Yeah.
So you give to me, I give to you, I take it, I process it, and I give it back
So that
to
just
you.
it just creates a mixture of
Exactly.
things.
So that is why when people get to a situation where they are saying, I'm tired of the relationship, I always say that it is only that miserable judge who signed a piece of paper and said, I have dissolved the marriage. Meanwhile, the relationship itself have dissolved 10 years ago because it has gone stale for a long time. And when we take this area of communication again, it was so interesting when I was reading the Bible, one part of it was saying that. It said, it is only a fool who will not want the other to finish speaking before he also speaks. And I find it very interesting because, wow, in many communication, the other feels he knows this than the other. So by the time the other is talking, he's also trying to just respond at the same time. He says, yes, I know. You know what? Okay, you hold this. I know what to do. The communication does not go back and forth. And it was so interesting when I also read that the person who answers the other before he hears him or her is stupid.
Right.
And I said, wow.
Because what are you answering to?
Yes.
You have to hear.
You have to hear the person.
You have to understand.
So the listening bit of it, no, we are not interested. We only want to say what we have to say. What the other have to say, we don't have to listen to it. Meanwhile, once you cannot listen to the person, you cannot get in touch with the person's emotion.
Right.
If you cannot listen to the person, you cannot get in touch with the person's willpower.
Yeah.
If you cannot give listening and attention to the person, you cannot also appreciate the person's mind or thinking.
Right.
And if these three things are undermined for a person, the person ceases to exist.
True. But how important are external influences? No, well, I wouldn't say how important are they. How do we block them out, actually? Because obviously external influences have, serious impact in relationships. Sometimes they affect those relationships. So how do we block them out? How do we actually create those boundaries to say, okay, we're getting married and we have to work on people not influencing how we think or try to break us up?
You don't have to necessarily do anything to block them. What you need to do is you have to do everything to be more interconnected. It is your level of interconnection is what is going to block or unblock somebody.
So even the in-laws and extended family?
Exactly, the way you are bonded. Because there are things you do that establishes that bonding. For instance, my mother wanted to speak with me, and then he was telling me something. I said, no, you know what? My wife needs to be here with me.
Oh, right.
Because you can share this together with us, because we share these things together. Already, my mother knows that I can't just have my son to me because I say he's my son. You see, what we did to bond together is what is making my mother to rethink. I'm just giving an example.
Yes.
It is the same way if, they, for instance, I'm speaking with you, and then I tells you that, oh, sorry, hold your thought. My wife is calling me.
Yes.
And I pick my wife's call. And after, I said, you know what? Can we make it another time?
Yeah.
Because I need to attend to this thing for my wife very quickly. And the wife also does the same thing.
Yeah.
In the midst of his friends.
So you're interlocked.
We are interlocked. Can you imagine a lady who is seeing a young boy and so fascinated about the boy, and then he's sitting with the boy and the father called her, and the boy said, oh, you have a call, and the lady goes like, oh, I'll call my father, I'll call him later. I'll call him later. Let's talk. Give me a hug. Give me a kiss. Oh, let's do our own thing. What you are signaling is that he is very important to you, and then your father is less important to you. Now, that also is giving a space for the very boy to treat you the way you would treat you. It is the same way when you get into the relationship. The way you treat the bond between the two of you will make your parents to understand that they cannot get in between the two of you.
Right.
They may do whatever they will. You give them their respect as parents, but after you get into the relationship, the priority should be your husband or your wife. And if your interlock activities makes it so unique, you don't have to take stick, whip, or quarrel or anger to drive others away. That is when you hear some people say that, oh, after Christine have got married, we no more see her. He doesn't call us anymore. He doesn't do this anymore. Yes, it doesn't have to be all put off.
Yes, I was going to ask that. Should you cut your friends off?
No, you don't cut your friend off. But they must also appreciate and respect your relationship, that it matters most. And then friendships are also very important. Because in one way or the other, sometimes certain things can happen in the relationship where friends must be there for you.
Yeah, you might need to speak to them.
You might need to speak to them.
So how important are support systems?
That is where we are going to. The support system must be chosen wisely, very balanced, and must be from people that have values that stood the test of time, must have experience, and then also I would say must be godly.
That's very interesting. Wow. But now, I'm sure there are some people that are actually going through conflicts right now. How do they resolve them?
People are going through conflict because of these various intra and interpersonal conflicts that we are talking about.
So let's talk about the inter. If there's a couple going through inter right now.
Inter one right now, which one thing that I didn't add was parenting. A lot of ideas and thought about how we bring our children together. That alone can create a lot of conflict for the people. But to deal with this conflict, number one, you must understand what exactly is causing the conflict. Sometimes we know we are in conflict, but we are not able to tell exactly where the conflict is coming from. Because any conflict that you have not been well assessed, you may not be able to resolve it. So you need to assess what type of conflict it is. Because if you are not able to name the exact conflict, resolution also becomes very difficult. To understand what is causing the conflict, and then name what exactly the conflict is, and then don't deny or defend your positions. You must be ready for relationship to work, and for that matter, have compromises. You must also look at the interest that the two of you have. For all you may know, you may just be dragging this because of your selfish personal interest.
Yeah.
But if you have a common interest, which is the relationship, and children also matters, our future also matters, our well-being matters, our peace matters, tranquility matters, serenity matters, our being sane also matters to our well-being in the future, certainly there is a way we will handle our conflict to resolve it early in order to sustain our well-being and our sane self for the future and even for the sake of the children.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Hobson. This has been very interesting. I keep on because I'm hoping that the viewers are actually taking note, because these are a lot of nuggets, you know, that we're putting out on this show for free and by experts. And in case you missed any of the episodes, you can head to our YouTube channel, that's CityTube, and then you can look for any of the episodes of Before You Say I Do. So we've been speaking on conflict resolution, and today's topic has been on interpersonal conflicts and dealing with them in relationship. So we spoke to Dr. Emmanuel Hobson, a counseling psychologist, conflict and ADR expert, and he's also the CEO of Center of Peace and Reconciliation. He's a lecturer, ADR Master's Program at the University of Ghana Law School. Thank you so much, sir. How can people reach out to you in case they want to reach out to you?
They can reach out to me on 0244 907190.
Right.
0244 907190.
Right.
And to sign off, our life cycle and its understanding can help us also to see the need to resolve our conflict as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's it, guys. That's it for today's episode of Before You Say I Do. Bye.